They came from two completely different worlds: one, the longest reigning monarch in modern history, born into duty and crowned in sacrifice. The other, a businessman turned president, brash, outspoken, and unwilling to follow anyone's script. Yet when Queen Elizabeth II and Donald Trump met, something surprising happened. Not rivalry. Not conflict. But a friendship, unlikely, unconventional, and filled with lessons about loyalty, discipline, and courage. This story isn't about politics. It's about two leaders who stood tall in storms, who carried the weight of nations on their shoulders, and who, despite differences, found a bond that teaches us what true resilience and leadership mean. When Donald Trump, as President of the United States, first met Queen Elizabeth at Windsor Castle, the world held its breath. Commentators whispered, would he follow protocol? Would she approve of his larger-than-life personality? The Queen, a woman of grace and iron discipline, watched him approach. Trump, known for his directness, didn't bow or bend. He extended his hand. For a moment, cameras clicked, the world waited. And then, the Queen smiled. Not because of his boldness, but because she recognized something deeper. The courage to be authentic. She had met thousands of leaders in her lifetime. Most hid behind masks. Trump didn't. That handshake wasn't just a gesture. It was the start of a friendship rooted in something greater than tradition, mutual respect. What the cameras didn't capture was the private conversation inside the castle. Trump spoke of business, of challenges, of building from nothing and fighting against the odds. He shared how people doubted him, criticized him, even hated him, but he never stopped believing in his vision. The Queen listened, her eyes calm, and then spoke softly. Mr. President, every crown is heavy. People see the power, not the pain. But the duty is not for ourselves, it is for those we serve. That moment struck Trump. For a man who prided himself on winning, the Queen reminded him that true leadership wasn't about victory, it was about responsibility. They laughed together. They disagreed on details. But beneath it all was loyalty. To their nations, to their people, and to the role destiny had given them. Their friendship was never about daily calls or public displays. It was quieter, built on mutual recognition. Both had faced storms of criticism. Both had endured personal sacrifices. Elizabeth gave up a normal life for duty at just 25. Trump gave up the comfort of private life to step into the storm of politics. Both understood what it meant to be misunderstood, to be judged harshly, to stand firm while others doubted. That shared resilience became the bridge between them. One evening, at a private dinner, the Queen spoke of her strict schedule, her morning starting at dawn, her disciplined reading, her commitment to tradition. Trump, though a man of instinct and risk, listened carefully. She told him, "Discipline is freedom, Mr. President. It allows the mind to be sharper, the spirit to endure longer." For Trump, it was a reminder that success isn't built only on boldness, it requires habits, mindset, and structure. Even the boldest leader needs discipline to last. And for us, that lesson still rings true: dreams without habits fade, courage without structure crumbles. The Queen endured world wars, family scandals, and decades of political storms. Yet she never abandoned her people. Trump endured relentless criticism, global pressure, and constant opposition. Yet he kept moving forward. Neither was perfect. Both were human. But both displayed the courage to continue when others might have quit. That is the essence of resilience, not avoiding storms, but walking through them with dignity. At one meeting, the Queen leaned toward Trump and shared a truth she rarely expressed in public. The greatest power, Mr. President, is not to command others. It is to master oneself. Those words changed the atmosphere. Trump, who had built his brand on strength, realized the Queen wasn't speaking of politics or monarchy. She was speaking of life itself. Because in the end, leadership is not about controlling people, it's about inspiring them. It's not about titles, it's about influence. And influence begins with self-mastery, discipline, courage, habits, and resilience. Despite their differences, the Queen and Trump demonstrated something profound: loyalty to one's calling. For Elizabeth, it was the throne. For Trump, it was his vision. For both, it meant sacrifice. Sacrifice of privacy. Sacrifice of comfort. Sacrifice of being ordinary. But here lies the life lesson: if you want to live an extraordinary life, you must accept extraordinary responsibility. They both carried burdens the world could not fully see. Yet they carried them with strength, not for personal gain, but for something greater than themselves. In the quiet moments, away from cameras, Trump admired the Queen's resilience, and she respected his courage to be authentic. Their friendship wasn't about politics or agreements. It was about two leaders reminding each other, and the world, that loyalty, discipline, courage, and resilience are universal values. Values that outlast crowns. Outlast presidencies. Outlast history books. Today, when we look back on their encounters, what stands out is not the pomp of ceremonies, but the subtle lessons. Loyalty, to duty, to calling, to the people who believe in you. Sacrifice, greatness requires giving up comfort. Discipline, habits create the foundation of success. Resilience, storms test us, and like them, we too must carry it with resilience. The story of Queen Elizabeth and Donald Trump's friendship is not about politics. It is about leadership. About discipline. About finding strength in unlikely places. It reminds us that respect is built not on similarity, but on courage. That resilience is forged not in comfort, but in storms. And it reminds us, whether you are a student chasing grades, an entrepreneur chasing a dream, or a parent guiding children, that your crown, your responsibility, is your gift. So wear it with discipline. Carry it with courage. Protect it with loyalty. And walk forward with resilience, knowing storms will come, but so will your strength. Because in the end, leadership is not about the title you hold. It is about the life you lead. If this story inspired you, take a moment right now, don't just listen, act. Build the habits. Strengthen your mindset. Lead with courage. And remember, your resilience will be the crown you pass on to the next generation. Backhand index pointing right. If this touched your heart, like this video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories that uncover the unseen truths of leadership, sacrifice, and self-growth. Because just like Queen Elizabeth and Donald Trump, you too are capable of carrying greatness, if you choose to.